The night began like any other Thursday for Emily Parker. Quiet, routine, and lonely. The soft hum of the dishwasher filled the silence of their suburban kitchen, while a pot of chamomile tea cooled beside her laptop. On the screen glowed a half-finished anniversary slideshow, a surprise she'd been preparing for her husband Ryan to celebrate their 5 years together next month. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as she replayed the photos. The honeymoon in Santorini, their first apartment, the night they brought home their rescue dog, Milo. Ryan's smile looked effortless in every picture. Lately, though, that smile had become something else. Polite, distant, like an actor reading old lines. The first red flag had been the phone. Ryan used to leave it anywhere. Kitchen counters, nightstands, even the bathroom sink. But now it was always in his pocket, locked with a new passcode. The second sign was the work dinners. Ryan was a marketing executive, and yes, late hours were normal. But 3 nights in a row, at the same downtown hotel? Still, Emily had brushed it off. They'd been under stress. Ryan was ambitious, always chasing the next promotion. He's just tired, she told herself. He'll come around. Tonight, though, something felt wrong. It started with a message. Her phone buzzed on the table. An unknown number. The message was short, sharp, and chilling. He's throwing a party tonight. You should see it for yourself. Emily blinked at the words, certain it was spam. But the longer she stared, the more her heart began to pound. The sender's number wasn't random. It was local. A party? Ryan hadn't mentioned any party. He'd told her he was meeting clients for dinner at the Hayes Hotel, the same place he'd been last week. Her pulse quickened. She set the mug down and picked up her phone again, hesitating over the call button. Confrontation wasn't her nature. She was calm, methodical, always the one to de-escalate. But something, maybe intuition, maybe fear, whispered that if she asked now, he'd lie again. She decided to find out herself. Emily moved to their bedroom, where Ryan's cologne still lingered in the air. His side of the closet was a monument to precision. Suits sorted by color, ties rolled perfectly. But one pair of cufflinks caught her eye. Or rather, their absence did. The silver ones she'd gifted him last Christmas were gone. She reached for his drawer and found an Uber receipt folded in his wallet. Pickup, 7:45 p.m. Drop off, the Hayes Hotel, downtown. Her breath hitched. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe it wasn't. But the ache in her chest told her she'd already lost the luxury of pretending. Outside, the rain had started, a soft drizzle tapping against the window. Emily threw on a long beige trench coat, tied her hair back, and grabbed her keys. As she backed the car out of the driveway, Milo barked from the living room window. A small, lonely sound that followed her into the night. The drive downtown blurred past streetlights and puddles. Every red light felt longer than the last. She replayed the last few weeks. Ryan's perfume that wasn't hers. The lipstick stain on his collar he swore was from a coworker's hug. Sophie's strange tone whenever she asked about Ryan's business trips. Sophie, her best friend since college. Loyal, funny, always there with advice. The same Sophie who had insisted, "You're overthinking it, Em. Men act weird before anniversaries. He's probably planning a surprise." Emily had believed her. When she finally pulled up to the Hayes, the valet approached, but she waved him off and parked in the shadows near the alley. The grand hotel shimmered under golden lights, its marble facade glistening from the rain. Laughter spilled from the rooftop lounge several stories above. Faint music and the echo of clinking glasses. She hesitated, clutching her purse. Her hands trembled. This wasn't who she was. The jealous wife, the snoop. But something inside her said she needed to see, needed the truth, no matter how much it hurt. Emily slipped through the side entrance, blending into a group of guests heading for the elevators. The lobby smelled of champagne and roses. She pressed the button for the rooftop and forced herself to breathe. The elevator doors opened with a chime. Music hit her first, pulsing heavy bass under the night sky. The rooftop glowed with string lights and neon signs. Waiters glided past carrying silver trays, while men in suits toasted with crystal glasses. Then she saw the banner. Ryan's last night of freedom. For a moment, she couldn't move. The air left her lungs. Freedom? Bachelor party? Her thoughts spiraled. Had he left her already? Was this some cruel joke? And then, through the crowd, she saw him. Ryan stood near the bar, grinning, arm draped around someone in a glittering red dress. When the woman turned, Emily's heart shattered. It was Sophie. Sophie leaned in and kissed him on the cheek, whispering something that made him laugh. The world around Emily dimmed. The music, the chatter, the lights, all muffled under the roar of disbelief. Tears blurred her vision, but she didn't move. Couldn't. Every photo of their friendship, every shared secret, every promise of loyalty played through her mind like a cruel montage. The bartender passed, offering her a drink. She shook her head, gripping the edge of a table to steady herself. Across the room, Ryan's laughter rose above the music. She took a step forward, then another. Her heel clicked against the tile, sharp enough to draw eyes. Ryan turned, confusion flickering before panic spread across his face. Sophie froze, color draining from her cheeks. Emily's voice cut through the music, calm, low, trembling with fury. "Freedom from who, Ryan? From your wife or from your lies?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras lifted. Someone started recording. Emily stood under the string lights, drenched in heartbreak, facing the two people she trusted most, and realizing trust was the first thing they'd buried. For a split second, time seemed to hold its breath. The crowd fell into an uneasy hush as Emily Parker stood motionless, rain-damp hair clinging to her face under the rooftop lights. The wind fluttered the red banner behind her. Ryan's last night of freedom. It felt like a headline written for her humiliation. Ryan Parker, his confident smirk slipping, raised his hands as if calming a client. "Emily," he said, voice careful, rehearsed. "It's not what it looks like." Her laugh was sharp, brittle. "You're right," she said. "It looks worse." The guests exchanged confused looks. Executives, friends, strangers, people who'd known Ryan as the charming marketing genius, not the man with secrets unraveling in front of them. Phones were already out, recording. The flicker of flashlights turned the rooftop into a stage. Sophie took a hesitant step forward. Her face was pale, her lipstick trembling. Please, I can explain." "Explain what?" Emily snapped, turning to her. "Why you're wearing his ring." Sophie's hand instinctively dropped to her glass, but it was too late. The small gold band on her finger caught the light. Ryan's grandmother's ring, the same one Emily had given him for safekeeping years ago. The crowd murmured. Ryan's jaw clenched. "Emily, you're making a scene," he hissed, his voice low and tight. "Then maybe you shouldn't have given me the script," she shot back. Emily's chest heaved as she took in the faces around her. Strangers whispering, Sophie's wide eyes, Ryan's frozen charm breaking apart piece by piece. She'd never felt smaller, yet never more alive. "This," she gestured to the decorations, the bar, the glowing sign. "This isn't a bachelor party, it's a funeral for honesty." The words sliced through the silence like glass. Someone near the DJ whispered, "Is she his wife?" Another voice answered, "Oh my God, she's his wife." Ryan tried to grab her wrist. She pulled back hard. The sudden motion toppled a glass of champagne onto his shirt, the golden liquid spreading like a stain of guilt. That was when the music stopped completely. The DJ, uncertain, turned the volume down to 0. Only the sound of rain tapping against the rooftop canopy remained. Emily could hear her own heartbeat, fast, furious, relentless. Ryan's voice cracked under the pressure. "You don't understand, Em. It was a joke. A stupid private joke. Sophie planned this whole thing as a surprise. It wasn't about—" "Don't lie to me," Emily interrupted, trembling. "You said you were at a client dinner." "I was—" She pointed toward the bar. "With bottle service and bridal balloons?" Ryan's face twisted into something she hadn't seen before. Not guilt, but fear. "Stop," he growled under his breath. "You're ruining everything." "Everything?" she whispered. "What's left to ruin?" The question hung in the air, cutting deeper than she expected. Then Sophie broke. "Emily, please. I didn't mean for this to happen. Ryan said you two were separated." "Separated," Emily echoed, her voice hollow. "We had dinner together 2 nights ago." Sophie's expression collapsed. Tears welled up in her eyes, mascara smudging down her cheeks. She looked around for sympathy, but none came. Even the guests, once charmed by Ryan's charisma, stood awkwardly, ashamed to have been part of the spectacle. Ryan's friend Mark muttered, "Man, we didn't know she was here. You said she moved out." Emily turned toward him, fury flashing in her eyes. "And you still threw him a bachelor party?" No one answered. She felt the weight of it all. The years of trust, the nights of waiting, the lies layered so carefully she'd almost missed them. She thought of the photos on her laptop at home, their wedding, their smiles, and realized those moments belonged to someone else. Sophie reached out again, her hand trembling. "Emily, I swear it wasn't supposed to be like this." Emily stepped back. "No, it wasn't," she said quietly. "You were supposed to be my friend." Her voice cracked at the last word. A man from the bar whispered, "This is going to blow up online." The glow of phones confirmed it. Dozens of people recording, streaming, capturing the betrayal in real time. Ryan noticed too. "Put those down," he barked. "Delete those videos." But it was too late. The moment had already escaped him. Emily turned toward the elevator, her face drained of color but her spine unbroken. "Enjoy your freedom, Ryan," she said. "You've earned it." She walked through the silent crowd, heels clicking, coat swinging behind her. The elevator doors opened, and for a moment her reflection stared back, pale, trembling, but fierce. As the doors closed, she heard the muffled start of chaos. Sophie crying, Ryan shouting, the sound of glasses breaking. By the time Emily reached her car, the rain had turned into a storm. Her phone buzzed again. Messages from unknown numbers, friends sending screenshots, texts reading, "Emily, are you okay? The video's everywhere." "Your husband's trending." She stared at the screen, drenched, shaking. In the distance, thunder rolled over the city. The wind howled as if echoing her thoughts. Betrayal, humiliation, and the strange relief that came with truth finally exposed. She drove home without turning on the radio. The silence was enough, but by morning the world would know her story, and what started as heartbreak would soon turn into something far darker. Because somewhere in that video, buried under the noise and chaos, the police would later spot something Emily hadn't seen that night. Someone else had followed Ryan and Sophie out of that hotel after the confrontation. Someone who never came forward, and that unseen figure would become the key to the crime that was about to unfold. By morning, the internet had already devoured what remained of Emily Parker's privacy. The rooftop confrontation, raw, chaotic, painfully human, was now the top trending video on half a dozen platforms. Headlines screamed, "Wife crashes, husband's secret bachelor party, chaos ensues. Best friend and husband exposed in viral affair." Millions of strangers weighed in from behind their screens, some applauding her courage, others mocking her humiliation. Emily didn't read the comments. She couldn't. Her phone buzzed endlessly. Reporters, relatives, co-workers. Her mother's trembling voice had been the worst. "Emily, darling, come stay with us for a while." But Emily stayed home, sitting alone in the quiet kitchen, staring at the same table where Ryan had once promised her forever. The walls seemed smaller now, suffocating with echoes of laughter that didn't belong to her anymore. On the counter lay Ryan's wedding band, the one she'd taken off his nightstand before leaving the hotel. Its cold weight reminded her that love, once broken, left behind more than silence. It left artifacts, evidence. Then came the knock at the door. It wasn't the polite kind. It was the hard, rhythmic pounding of someone who already knew they weren't welcome. Ryan. He looked exhausted, hair disheveled, eyes sunken with anger and sleeplessness. His tailored charm had vanished. The raincoat clung to his frame as if even it wanted distance. "You ruined my life," he spat the moment she opened the door. Emily didn't move. "No," she said softly. "You did that yourself." He stormed past her, pacing the living room like a trapped animal. "Do you even understand what you've done? That video, it's everywhere. I lost 2 clients this morning. My boss won't even return my calls. Sophie's gone underground. The press camped outside her house." Emily folded her arms. Maybe you should have thought about that before kissing her in front of the world. Ryan's jaw tightened. You think you're the victim? You humiliated me. You made me look like some criminal. Her voice stayed calm, almost frighteningly so. You didn't need my help for that. He turned sharply, pointing at her. Don't test me, Emily. You're not as innocent as you pretend. People are laughing at me, at us, because of you. Her patience cracked. At us, she snapped. Ryan, there is no us. You made sure of that the second you brought her there. The silence that followed was heavier than shouting. For a long moment, neither spoke. Outside, the wind rattled the windows, carrying the faint echo of sirens from downtown. Ryan rubbed his face, pacing. I need time. I just need time to fix this. Stay out of it, okay? Don't talk to the press. Don't talk to anyone. She tilted her head. And what about Sophie? He froze. His expression flickered. Something like guilt, or maybe fear. She'll handle herself. Then he grabbed his keys and slammed the door behind him. Emily stood in the empty house, the sound of his footsteps fading into the storm. For the first time since the video, she cried. Not loud, not dramatic, but the quiet kind that comes when you realize the person you loved isn't coming back, and maybe never existed at all. The next morning, Ryan didn't come home. At first, Emily didn't care. She told herself it was better that way. But by the third day, unease crept in. His phone went straight to voicemail. Sophie's number too. Their social media accounts vanished. His office said he'd taken a leave of absence. By day 4, there was a knock on the door again. This time, the quiet, professional kind. A police officer stood there beside Detective Marcus Harris, a man in his early 50s with eyes that had seen too many versions of the same story. Mrs. Parker? He asked, voice calm. We'd like to ask you a few questions about your husband. Emily's stomach turned cold. What about him? Detective Harris pulled out a small photo, a blurred image of Ryan's car, parked near a wooded ravine outside the city. This vehicle was found early this morning. The registration is under your husband's name. Her breath caught. Is he... There's no sign of him, Harris said carefully, but there were traces of blood on the driver's seat and a wedding ring on the floor mat. Emily went pale. That's impossible. I have his ring here. Harris frowned. Then whose ring was found in the car? The room tilted slightly around her. She clutched the table for balance, her mind flashing back to the argument, the slamming door, the rain. What are you implying? She whispered. Nothing yet, Harris said. We just need to understand the timeline. When was the last time you saw your husband? Emily tried to speak, but the words tangled in her throat. 2 nights ago. He came here after the video. We argued. Then he left. Did he say where he was going? She shook her head. Harris scribbled something in his notebook. And your friend, Sophie Lane. You two are close, I understand? Not anymore. The detective's gaze lingered on her face. She's missing too. Emily froze. Missing? He nodded slowly. Her husband filed a report this morning. Her phone's been off since that night at the hotel. Rain began to patter against the window again, faint and steady, the same rain from that rooftop, as if the night hadn't ended yet. Harris closed his notebook and looked up. Mrs. Parker, until we find them, I'll need you to stay available for further questioning. Don't leave town. When he left, the house felt impossibly quiet. Emily stood alone, staring at the rain-streaked glass. Somewhere in the city, her husband and best friend had vanished. And for the first time, she realized she wasn't just part of a scandal. She was part of an investigation. The next week crawled by in fragments of dread. Every morning, Emily Parker woke to the same questions on TV, the same faces of strangers pretending to understand her life. News anchors called it the Hayes Hotel scandal. But now it wasn't just a scandal. It was a missing persons case. Her husband, Ryan Parker, and her best friend, Sophie Lane, had vanished without a trace. The world speculated. Some said Ryan had fled to escape humiliation. Others whispered that Emily had snapped, that maybe the public confrontation had pushed her over the edge. Theories multiplied like weeds in an open field. Detective Marcus Harris didn't believe in theories. He believed in evidence. He returned to Emily's house 3 days later, his trench coat heavy with rain. his eyes sharper than before. "Mrs. Parker," he said, stepping into her kitchen, "we've reviewed the hotel footage again. I think you should see this." He placed a tablet on the table. The video played from the rooftop. Emily's confrontation, the shouting, the phones. But now it continued beyond the viral clip. There on the screen, Ryan and Sophie were seen slipping out through a back elevator 15 minutes after Emily left. Their faces were tense, hurried. Sophie was crying. Ryan was speaking into his phone. "Where were they going?" Emily whispered. "That's what we're trying to find out," Harris said. His phone pinged near the Ridgewood Ravine an hour later, where we found the car. Emily frowned. "But Sophie's husband, didn't he report her missing?" "Yes, he told us something interesting." Harris leaned forward. "He said Sophie told him weeks ago that Ryan was planning to disappear, that he was scared of being exposed." "Exposed for what?" The detective's expression hardened. "Financial fraud. We found a series of transfers from his business accounts to an offshore firm. It's registered in your name, Mrs. Parker." Emily's blood ran cold. "That's impossible. I've never—" "It's not your signature," Harris admitted, "but it's your identity. Someone forged it. Likely him." Emily sat back, her mind racing. So that was it. The secret calls, the hotel meetings, the sudden change in behavior. He wasn't just cheating. He was covering tracks. "And Sophie?" she asked. "Her name appears too. Same accounts. We think they were planning to flee together, maybe stage a disappearance." Emily stared at the tablet again, her reflection ghosting over the paused image of Ryan's face. The man she'd loved had built an escape route using her name as the mask. "Do you think they're alive?" she asked quietly. Harris didn't answer right away. "I think one of them might be." She looked up sharply. "What does that mean?" He turned off the tablet. "We found blood in the car, enough to suggest someone was injured, but not enough to confirm death." Emily's breath caught. "Whose blood?" "We're waiting for lab results." He rose to leave but paused at the doorway. "Mrs. Parker, if you remember anything at all about that night, call me." When the door closed, Emily sank into her chair. Her tea had gone cold hours ago. Outside, the storm thickened, washing the city in gray. She thought of the woman she used to be, the one who trusted easily, who laughed often. That woman had died the night of the party. The one who remained was learning how to survive. By midnight, she opened Ryan's laptop. The password had changed, but she guessed it after 3 tries. Sophie 92. Her stomach turned as she scrolled through his emails. Offshore transfers, encrypted files, private messages. Each one a confession of deceit. Each one signed with her name. Then, buried deep in a hidden folder, she found something stranger. A video file labeled insurance. When she clicked it open, Ryan's face filled the screen. "If you're seeing this," he said, voice low, "it means something's gone wrong. I had no choice. They were closing in. I did what I had to do." He leaned closer. "And Emily, I'm sorry. You'll understand soon." The video ended abruptly. Emily stared at the frozen frame, heart pounding. Understand what? What had he done? The next morning, her phone rang. Detective Harris again. "Mrs. Parker," he said, "the blood results are back." She held her breath. "It's a match for Sophie Lane." Detective Harris stood beside the projector in the precinct briefing room as Emily watched the footage again. The hotel exit, the car, the road to Ridgewood Ravine. He spoke methodically, like a surgeon describing the anatomy of betrayal. "The blood in the car's rear seat was Sophie's," he said. "No sign of Ryan after that night. Either he ran, or someone made him disappear." Emily's voice was steady but tight. "You think I did this?" Harris didn't deny it. "You had motive. You were humiliated, cheated on, and left with fake accounts in your name. But I don't think you're that kind of woman." "Then who is?" she asked. "Maybe the man who made this." He slid a printed transcript across the table. Excerpts from Ryan's offshore communications. The messages told a story. Months of deceit, laundering money, and finally plans to disappear. The last message, time-stamped the night of the party, read, "Meet me at the ravine. Bring the documents. After tonight, no more loose ends." Emily felt her pulse quicken. "Loose ends," she whispered. "He meant Sophie." Harris nodded grimly. "It fits. He used her." When she panicked, he silenced her. Emily's stomach twisted. Sophie, her friend, her confidant, dead in some lonely stretch of woods because she trusted the same man Emily once did. She left the station numb, walking through the drizzle. The city lights shimmered like reflections in a broken mirror. Everyone saw her as the betrayed wife, but now she was part of a crime much larger than infidelity. At home, she began her own investigation. She combed through bank records, emails, deleted files. The deeper she dug, the clearer the picture became. Ryan had built a shell company overseas, transferring thousands weekly. The insurance file wasn't an apology, it was leverage, a backup plan in case Sophie turned on him. But one message stood out, buried in the archives. A text sent from an anonymous number days after the party. "You shouldn't have come that night. He's still out there." Emily froze. The sender ID was encrypted, but the timestamp aligned with the morning after Ryan vanished. Still out there. She dialed Detective Harris immediately. "Someone texted me about Ryan. They knew he wasn't dead." Harris's tone sharpened. "Forward it to me. Don't delete anything." "I didn't," she said, "but I think they're watching me." That night, Emily closed every curtain and double-locked the doors. But fear didn't come from shadows. It came from the memories. The way Ryan used to whisper her name when he lied. The way Sophie laughed when she promised she'd never hurt her. Her phone buzzed again just before midnight. Another message. "You want the truth? Meet me where he fell." Her breath hitched. She recognized the phrase. The news had said the car was found near a cliff. The ridge would drop. She hesitated only a moment before replying. "Who is this?" No answer, just 3 dots. Typing, then nothing. She sat in the dark, gripping her phone. If Ryan was still alive, he was somewhere close. Maybe watching, maybe planning. And if Sophie was dead, Emily knew one thing for certain. The next time she saw him, there would be no forgiveness, only truth. 3 months passed before Ryan Parker came back from the dead. It was a gray afternoon when the news broke. A man found wandering near a freight yard on the city's outskirts, dehydrated, bruised, and claiming to be a kidnapping victim. When detectives confirmed the name, it rippled across every screen. Husband from viral party scandal found alive, says he was abducted. The cameras swarmed before the police could even process him. At the precinct, Emily Parker sat across from Detective Marcus Harris, watching through the glass as Ryan was ushered into the interrogation room. His once perfect hair was overgrown, his cheeks hollow, his eyes darting between faces like a man rehearsing fear. "He looks awful," Emily whispered. Harris didn't flinch. "Sometimes guilt does that faster than punishment." Ryan's voice trembled just enough to sound believable as he told his story. He claimed men in black vans had grabbed him outside the ravine that night. "Maybe someone from the company investigation," he said. He insisted Sophie had been alive when they were attacked, and that he'd been held in a basement before escaping. Every word dripped with drama, every detail vague. Emily listened through the speaker, her hands clasped. Harris cut in. "So you escaped, and waited 3 months to tell anyone?" Ryan swallowed. "They told me they'd kill her, kill Emily, if I talked." The detective leaned forward. "Who told you that, Ryan?" No answer, just a flicker of something in Ryan's eyes. Calculation. When they released him later that night, Emily was waiting in the corridor. He froze when he saw her. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Ryan offered a faint smile, the same practiced smile that used to melt away fights. "You look good," he said softly. Emily's laugh was hollow. "You buried me online, forged my name, and disappeared with my best friend. Good isn't what I'm going for." His expression tightened. "I didn't kill her, Em. You have to believe me." She stared at him, searching for even a flicker of truth. There was none. "Believe you?" she whispered. "You built an entire life out of lies. You used me. I was desperate. I didn't mean for any of it to happen." "Then explain this." She pulled out her phone and opened the insurance video she'd found on his laptop. Ryan's own face glowed on the screen. His eyes widened. "Where did you get that?" "You left it for me, remember. You'll understand soon." She stepped closer, voice shaking. "So tell me, Ryan, what was I supposed to understand?" He looked around, lowering his voice. "You don't know what's really going on. There are people." "Stop." Emily's tone cut sharp. "The only people who mattered are gone because of you. Sophie trusted you. I trusted you." He grabbed her wrist. Too hard. "You don't know what she did." Detective Harris appeared in the doorway like a shadow. "Everything all right here?" Ryan dropped his hand instantly, retreating a step. "Fine. We're fine." But Emily had seen it. The flicker of panic behind his eyes. The same one she saw the night he lied about Sophie. Harris crossed his arms. "You might want to sit tight, Mr. Parker. We recovered something new from your car." Ryan blinked. "My car?" "The dash cam," Harris said. "You didn't know it was still recording." He froze. "That footage," Harris continued, "shows you and Sophie arguing. You pulled over. She tried to leave. You grabbed her. Then the camera shakes and she's gone." Ryan's face went white. "That's not what happened." "Then what did?" Harris asked. Ryan's silence was answer enough. Emily stepped forward, her voice calm but cold. "You killed her." He shook his head violently. "It was an accident. She was hysterical. She found out I forged the accounts, said she'd go to the police. I tried to stop her. She fell. I didn't mean to." Harris raised a hand, signaling the officer outside. "We'll need that on record." Emily pulled her wrist free from Ryan's grasp, leaving him trembling as Harris escorted him back toward the room. But before the detective closed the door, Ryan turned, his voice cracking. "Emily, please, you have to believe me. I did it for us." Her eyes filled with tears she didn't bother to hide. "No, Ryan, you did it for yourself." That night she couldn't sleep. The confession replayed in her mind. His desperation, his fear. And one thing still gnawed at her, the flash drive he'd left behind. When Harris called the next morning to tell her they'd found it, labeled truth, she didn't hesitate to come in. The evidence room smelled faintly of dust and cold metal when Emily Parker arrived. Detective Harris was already there, gloves on, a laptop open in front of him. "This is what was in Ryan's desk," he said, holding up a small silver flash drive. "Label says truth. Let's see what his truth looks like." The screen blinked to life. A folder appeared. Dozens of files, all dated within a week before the rooftop incident. Harris clicked one at random. Videos. In the first clip, Ryan sat in his office talking to Sophie. His tone was sharp, controlling. "Ryan, we'll move the money through Emily's identity. She'll look like the guilty one if anything blows up." Sophie, "I don't want to do this anymore, Ryan. She's my friend." Ryan, "She's a liability. So are you if you keep talking." Emily's stomach turned. The next video was worse. It showed them in the car the night Sophie died. The camera's reflection captured a struggle. Sophie shouting, Ryan reaching across. The sound of a door opening, then a scream swallowed by wind. The screen went black. Harris exhaled slowly. "Well, that's manslaughter at best, murder at worst." Emily stared at the paused frame, her pulse pounding in her ears. "He kept all this. Why?" "Leverage," Harris said. "Blackmail's easier when you hold your own confession." They reviewed more clips. Evidence of forged documents, audio of Ryan instructing an accountant overseas, even photos of the fake passports. It wasn't just adultery, it was a full criminal enterprise. One folder stood out, titled Plan B. Inside were letters Ryan had written but never sent. One, addressed to Emily, made her hand tremble as she read aloud. "If you're reading this, it means Sophie's gone. It was supposed to be simple. She panicked, and now everything's falling apart. You'll think I'm a monster, but I did it to protect us from losing everything. Maybe someday you'll forgive me." Emily's voice broke on the last line. "Harris, close the folder gently. We have enough to charge him on multiple counts. He'll never walk free again." At the courthouse 2 weeks later, the room was thick with cameras and whispers. Ryan sat at the defense table, his face pale, eyes hollow. He didn't look at Emily as the prosecution played the dash, cam and flash drive footage for the jury. When the verdict was read, guilty on all counts, he slumped, his head dropping into his hands. Emily didn't cheer. She didn't even cry. She just sat there silent, as though grief had been drained from her long ago. When the judge offered her a chance to speak, she stood. The courtroom stilled. Her voice was calm, steady, and final. For years, I thought truth was something people owed each other. I was wrong. Truth is something you dig for. Through lies, through pain, through loss. You buried it, Ryan. But the truth doesn't stay buried forever. A hush fell as she turned and walked out. Flashes from cameras chasing her down the marble steps of the courthouse. Outside, the air was crisp, almost peaceful. Reporters shouted her name, but she didn't answer. She kept walking, past the crowd, past the flashing lights, into a world that, for the first time in months, didn't feel like it was collapsing. At the corner, she paused. Across the street, a bus ad glowed with her old viral photo. Wife crashes, husband's party. She stared at it for a moment, then whispered to herself, "That's not who I am anymore." When she finally walked away, Detective Harris watched from a distance. Later in his report, he'd write one last note, not for evidence, but for memory. In an age built on lies and lenses, one woman's heartbreak revealed a crime no one was meant to see. Justice didn't fix her life, but it gave her back her name.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.